Hi guys, I'm going to give you an overview of the OAK-D-Lite AI Edge camera, and we're going to talk about some of the feature functionality as well as the device specifications and architecture, and then we will be going to a live demo of some of the use cases which we set up the device and start using depth AI models such as face recognition, object detection, and so on. So the OAK-D-Lite AI Edge camera has been named the Swiss Army knife of computer vision, and there's a reason for that. Because the device itself is extremely small. It's an elegant device which will fit in the palm of your hand, and even though the device is small, it's very powerful. Uh, it has a powerful computer vision processing unit which is powered by Intel, which we'll discuss in a couple of minutes, as well as it has the stereo cameras for 3D depth detection, as well as a 4K RGB camera. So all of this packed together gives us a really good AI edge camera that we can run neural uh, engines or neural models for computer vision. So I'm Calvin Hill, and I work as a Director Innovation for Millennium IT ESP. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for AI, and I'm a part of SLASCOM as a General Council member, and I lead the Technology Forum. So before we get into some of the live demos and I set this up, let's try to understand what this OAK-D-Lite device is. So what we can do as easy is to actually go to the website. So when you go to the website, you can see the device itself. As I mentioned, it's quite small. It fits in the palm of your hand, and there is quite a lot of fascinating features in this small device. Uh, as I explained, it has a neural inference where you can run your pre-trained models on object detection, classification, pose estimation, and many more other use cases that we will talk about. It has a 3D object tracking and 3D object localization. This is important to run the depth AI, or we call it spatial AI, right? Spatial AI is how we look at the surrounding and understand the 3D depths of different objects. Motion estimation, and it runs on USB 3.1 type C. So you just plug this into your local machine or laptop, and you quickly can deploy your models to run on this really fascinating device. And if you go down, you can see the Intel inside, which runs the Intel processing for computer vision, which we'll talk about in a few seconds. And these are the main specs. You get the 4K camera in the middle. You get the autofocus, focus range, and the image sensors, of course, is from Sony. That's what they have mentioned here. And the stereo pair cameras. So as you know, stereo pair cameras, if you go and Google search stereo pair cameras are basically cameras that work in similitude like the human eyes, right? So you have two cameras here in left and right, and it gets input from the surroundings and objects of the 3D depth and the characteristics around it. And here, as you can see, we have the vision processor, which can operate 4 trillion operations per second, 16 mini GPU vector processors, 2 dedicated AI processors, and so on. So really packed, powerful, packed AI vision recognition module device that we have in our hand, and we can do so many things from it. Now the beauty of this device is this is edge computing, right? You can run many computer vision modules locally on the edge of this device. Now, if you don't have such a powerful device, it's very hard to run computer vision. So either you need to use cloud AI as a service clouds provider, such as you have Microsoft, Google, AWS, all these. They also provide the computer vision capabilities. But at some instances, when you are doing edge computing or having a kind of IoT modular solutions, the most preferred way would be to use AI edge. And building AI edge is also not easy. You have many components that you need to kind of consider, like the cameras, the stereo cameras, the vision processors, and so on. So what OAK-D-Lite has made our life easy is compact all of these things together and given us an elegant device that we can use very easily. So if you go to the website, you will see that OAK-D-Lite is just one product. They have a series of OAK-D AIH cameras. And what I want to show you here is their mission, right? Is to kind of commoditize robotics, computer vision, and object detection to all of the engineers and data scientists and AI engineers. So look at their mission to make robotics perception easy. In robotics, there are three things: depth perception, artificial intelligence, object detection, computer vision, ties all together. And this is what they're providing us with this great product. These are some of the features, capabilities of real-time, combined live depth AI detection, and so on. And I want to talk about that processing power. So the OAK-D-Lite AI camera is powered by Intel, Movidius, and Myriad vision processing unit, which is a tailor-made vision processing unit, dedicated hardware accelerator for deep neural network inferences, specifically for the computer vision. And if you go down here, it further says that the purpose-built hardware accelerator designed to dramatically increase performance of deep neural network without compromising the low power characteristics of the Movidius VPU product line. So that's why you can run this kind of modules on even USB, right? And I did a further research and I understood that the Movidius is also Intel has provided Movidius dual computer stick, which is another very interesting device where you can plug into your laptop through a USB port and you can run your neural networks on this, which is amazing. And that's the same kind of hardware architecture which they have used for the OAK-D-Lite AIH cameras as well. So interesting facts on this device. And the other thing is, as I mentioned, so OAK-D-Lite is providing an all-in-one product, all-in-one AIH camera, which has the camera, 4K camera, the stereo depth cameras, and the AI processors all together, and the price is also very less, right? So that's quite amazing. Now, before we get into the live demos, let's understand a few concepts around this framework. So this OAK-D-Lite device, we have the hardware which has been developed, and then comes the software, the framework, and the ecosystem around it, and that is what we call depth AI, right? So depth AI is the combination of, as you can see, the spatial AI and computer vision combined together, and it's open source, right? And it's written using C++ and Python. It is use API. So if you know some kind of basic Python, you can use this model very easily and start using it on your OAK-D-Lite devices. If you want to customize them, you can use Google Colab to kind of customize, repurpose, train your own data as well. And the main thing is about spatial AI and computer vision, and we learn what spatial AI is. And as you can see, the depth AI runs on the Movidius and Myriad hardware ecosystem or acceleration. So this depth AI is something, it's a kind of ecosystem where you have hardware, AI edge hardware like OAK-D-Lite, and the software and the framework all working together in one ecosystem. Right. Then, okay, so I think before we get into this, let's try to kind of understand what spatial AI is. So let's just go to the website again, and it will be easy for us to understand what spatial AI is. Now, what's the difference of spatial AI and normal object detection? So it says it's first important for us to learn what object detection is. Now, in normal context, technically detection, if you want to do object detection in an image, right? It's about how we understand the pixel spaces and the coordinates of a given image. For example, if you want to understand and stand with, if there's a dog in an image or a bicycle or a truck, then we kind of look at the pixel spaces and the coordinates and the finding those boundaries. Now, but if you want to do kind of computer vision in real-time video around in your surroundings, then you can't use the same 2D kind of method alone. You have to look at the 3D object localization, 3D object detection, and this entire mechanism of spatial AI. As you can see, we have object detection here on your left, which is kind of 2D, but in object localization in spatial AI, you're looking at all the accesses in a more 3D kind of view. And that is what the spatial AI is kind of providing us. So the depth AI models are infused with computer vision and spatial AI together, and those models run on this AI edge camera, which we call OAK-D-Lite. And that product, that OAK-D-Lite AI edge camera, can identify the world with its cameras and sensors, with the stereo cameras and the 4K cameras, the three cameras that it have, and understand the world in a more 3D way, right? So that's the beauty about it. And that's what we call about the spatial AI. Now, if you look at depth AI, in this entire ecosystem, there are a lot of use cases here. So one use case is, of course, drones. Now, as you know, many drones out there, they use some kind of computer vision, and computer vision is embedded in the device AI edge itself. And depth AI can be used there, because the drone, we can't deploy the AI or computer vision model on cloud and then communicate through internet. The practicality, the feasibility is hard. So this is where we use that. And you have sports monitoring, smart agriculture for drones, again cargo, and security cameras, and so many other features. Even in healthcare, when we need to monitor patients physical and health statuses, these are ideal use cases. And this is what I mentioned, all packed in one product to use, which is really fascinating. So we spoke about spatial AI, and let's understand how does depth AI provide spatial AI results. So this module or engine has two areas. One is we call the monocular neural inference focus with stereo depth. So in this model, it uses a single camera, right? Let me get my pointer here. It uses a single camera and fused with disparity depth results, the left, right, RGB, right? And the stereo inference, stereo neural inference. So monocular for one, and the stereo neural inference is the two cameras on the left and the right to produce 3D position. So using both of these compositions, only we get this depth spatial AI results. So for example, if you look at some of the live real world use cases, like for autonomous vehicles, they do use a lot of these mechanisms, and they not only use the computer vision capabilities, but they use other sensors like lidars and so on. So much more complex, right? This is a very kind of simple one, which we have the OAK-D-Lite, but if you go into more complex use cases where you have much more sophisticated uses called autonomous driving, like for example in the Tesla, it has about 8 cameras around the car and lidars, and it picks up information, and it's been trained on billions of training hours, basically, not billions of data points, but so much of training hours to understand the surroundings and so on. Right. So the another beauty about this is in both of these cases, standard neural networks also can be used. There is no need for neural network to be trained in 3D data. Depth automatically provides 3D results in both cases using standard 2D trained data, which is fascinating. So when you're training your models, you don't need the trained 3D data. You can use a 2D kind of data which you already have, and Depth automatically provides 3D result in both cases, which is quite fascinating. Right. So we spoke about spatial AI, and now let's what we can do is we can straight away get into a kind of demo. Uh, so before we get into the demo, I would like to firstly kind of show you what the product looks like and kind of unbox it and show you, the three cameras and the USB port and how you can kind of easily connect this to your laptop and so on, right? Let's do that first. Okay guys, this is how the device comes in. It's a really small pack which you have here, and a really, I would say, elegant packing. Really, the quality of the packing is really great. So once you open this up, you have the OK OAK-D-Lite product as well. So you can see the three cameras here. You can see the 4K RGB camera and the stereo cameras for spatial AI on the left and the right. And this is where you can see the USB-C port here, right? So the device is quite small. As you can see, it fits in my palm, and it's not heavy at all. So I also need to thank Microsoft for giving this gift, and it's indeed a wonderful gift so that we can play around and do multiple experiments. So thank you, Microsoft, for that gift. And setting this up is pretty easy. So what you need to do is plug your USB-C cable, which I'll be plugging this, and then we can set up the Depth AI models and start running this. So I'm going to set this up on my PC. I'll set it up somewhere here because I don't quite have a tripod to hang this around. So I'll just set it up somewhere here, and let's get started with the live demos. So okay guys, let's start checking some of the Depth AI spatial AI models and start running them on our OAK-D-Lite model. So I'm going to spin off a VS Code instance. Sorry, I already have instance here. I don't need to spin off another one. So let me just close this up. So I'm spinning off from my Anaconda environment because I already have the Python and other kind of models already installed here. So what first you need to do is you need to go and clone the repo of the Depth AI models here. So you clone it, and I have already cloned it here. So if you go to this, I will clone it to this folder called Depth AI. And once you clone it, the next thing you need to do is kind of install the prerequisites or requirement. I have already done it, but I'm just running it and show you as most of the prerequisites have been installed. But let's just do it once more. So once you kind of install that, if you go into the document, once you install the requirements, you can pretty much run the demo and fire up your instance and quickly start checking those use cases. So there are a couple of if you go to the default models, you have of course the face detection, then the object detection, and pose estimation. All of this we can try them. Let's try them one by one and see how we can use them. Right now, one thing that I notice is that when I try to run this using this command Python depth AI demo, right? So if you go to the directory, this is the file that we need to run. Uh, where is that? The Python file. Yeah, this demo. So if I run this as it is, Python depth AI demo, it starts running it, and you can see the instance setting up, right? But down the line, uh, you can see connecting to the USB speed and enabling low bandwidth mode due to low USB speed. So I'm guessing my USB is not USB 3 actually. So it stops. So what I did was I found this other alternative code which you can run. So that it'll pretty much address your problem. So you give the USB 2 kind of version, and that will help you run this, and that should do the trick. So let's just see. Hopefully it will start running. Right, so you can see it running now, and now you can see pretty much so I'm running the model of object detection, and as you can see, this is identified as a person. And if I probably let me try to hold this here. This is a pen. I don't know when it'll identify as a pen. Let's just see. Right. So yeah, we'll try different kind of models and see whether this is working. So this is a bottle. Let's just say. So because it's running with the, I guess the low USB 2, so you're having quite a bunch of delays here. So let's run the object detection, see whether it understands a dog. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, it understands that this is a dog. Yeah. Okay. So the dog has been identified, basically. Okay, let's see what are the other models that we can play around. If we go to the website, object detection is there. This is Deep Lab. Let's see what that is. Takes some time to actually apply and restart the model. Yeah, so you can see it's downloading the model. So until that downloads, these are some of the other things that you can try. This is person detection. So here is more of vehicle detection. This is what I showed you on the post detection model. Yeah. So this is this use case. Actually, what it tries to do is allows to highlight parts of image where the person is detected, right? So that is what it's doing. It's highlighting different use cases that we can try. So what else can we do? So this is quite fascinating, right? You can do many things out here. Mm, and these are actually the pre-trained standard samples, but if you go into example use cases, there are other really fascinating use cases here, like hand traction, pose estimation, which we tried, and sign language, your gaze estimation. So as you can see, these are all possible with depth AI or spatial AI. Just with 2D you can't do this. This is a very interesting one, the mass detection. uh, so you can try all of this. These are most of this is all. If you go into this one, it will take you to that repository, and you can probably clone it and start running. So this is still downloading. uh, so it gives you a description about how the model is being structured and how you need to use them, right? Now for example, it says here, once you actually clone this, you can run your requirements, and then you can see the commands arguments. If you want to run a camera, a depth AI 4K RGB camera, you use these commands, right? If you want to load a video and then perform the analytics on that, I mean the computer vision insights on that, you can do that. So with those commands, you can facilitate that. Okay, this is taking some time. So this is the high level overview of what I wanted to talk about. As you can see, this device is very powerful. You can run many models on this. There are more instances, more examples, uh, which you can customize and work on them. And as I mentioned, you can open this up on Google Colab and um, customize the complete models with your own data. And that's the beauty of it. Fully customizable, free to use, open source, spatial depth AI models which can run on your AIH camera or OAK-D-Lite. Fascinating stuff, and hope to share more videos around this while I experiment on other use cases. So thank you so much for this, and take care.